A.S. Ross. Hey, Miss Ray. I am Nativa, aka the Frugal Creditista, your financial empowerment speaker, author, coach. Every Wednesday night we scope here at 6:30 Central Standard Time and ways to master your money, destroy your debts, or soar your credit score. So I'm super excited to have you guys with me here tonight. And we are going to talk about the 5 ways, or my 5 tips to jumpstart your credit improvement journey. Hi, Dimitri. This scope was inspired by Faith 11, who was on with us last Wednesday and had a few, hey, Chris, how are you? Had a few questions on getting started. So I thought I'd devise the 5 tips if you're in my, hey, Miss Tax Advocate. I thought I'd, if you're in my Facebook group, we've discussed this quite a bit, so this may be a repeat for you guys. But for those of you who are just getting started to help others to improve their scores, this is still going to be dope information. So let's get going. Of course, I have notes because when you guys ask questions, I get off track. So I wanted to make sure, for Faith's sake, and for those who supported this, oh, sure, the Facebook group is Credit Makes Sense. If you go to bit.ly/Credit Makes Sense, all lowercase, it'll pop up. It'll go straight to the group. Hi! I know. I love me some Jen Kim with some master brand, honey. I love it. I am still going through that program. So, okay. Let's get started. You guys know I like to keep it to about a half hour and to ask your questions as well. So when you are working towards improving your credit, I get 2 questions the most. Number 1, which report should I pull? And number 2, once you pull it, which credit scores are accurate? So my most favorite credit reports actually come from the credit bureaus. The reason why is because they are consumer credit reports, so they're really sectioned off very well, so they're easier to read for those who are new to reading their credit reports. So you'll have, breaking up into like 6 parts, but the main things that you want to focus, well, all of it you want to focus on, but the main things that you want to focus on, or that most people focus on, is the fact that it breaks up your positive information and your negative information and your personal information and the inquiries and the creditor contact information, and all of that is perfectly sectioned off so you can zone in on each individual category. That doesn't mean you don't pull the tri-merge accounts that you may get from Credit Check Total or ScoreSense or FreeCreditReport.com or Privacy Guard. Doesn't mean that you won't pull them, because those have your scores. The credit reports that the bureaus have don't come with your scores, but they come with more in-depth, content-filled information that you need if you're going to be checking for accuracies, whereas the ones from the credit monitoring reports, it's sometimes abridged information, but you get your scores. They clump everything together, so you'll have like positive, negative, so it's kind of difficult when you're first starting off reading your reports to decipher what's positive, what's negative, why it's positive, especially if you have public record information. The public record information on a bureau's report are all spelled out, so it's easier for you to decipher if something is inaccurate, incomplete, if it's unverifiable because of something, that information that you have that counteracts what's reporting your report, because it literally gives you so much information. Whereas if you're looking at a 3-bureau or tri-merge report from a credit monitoring site, I love my FICO too. Theirs are not that great. The exception, I was going to say, that is my FICO. My FICO does very well at having their reports being split up with the tabs that are on there into really good, easy to understand information. So what if you already used up your free report? Got a tip for you. I did this yesterday, and I believe last week too, and a couple of people was like, I like that idea. So let's say you don't want to pay for another report, or you're not one of the fortunate people such as Georgia residents or Colorado residents. There's about maybe 4 or 5 others to get an additional free report for being a resident of those states. If you're not one of those lucky people, you don't want to pay $7 to $11 for each report, I don't blame you. Then what you can do is go to the dispute section of each credit bureau's website. So TransUnion.com, Equifax.com, Experian.com, and you don't have to do the dispute, but what it allows you to do is to look at the information as if you are going to dispute, right? Keep your frugal. So you're going to look at the information as if you are going to dispute. That way, it's just easier for you to see everything without having to pay for that whole report. Then, if you don't mind like a super long 100+ page report, you can pull Equifax's report from Quizzo.com. And it's actually the full Equifax report. It splits it up just like the Equifax report does, but I'm telling you, Law, the Equifax report is like 100 plus pages, but it's a good solid, it just repeats the information over and over again. So hopefully that helped for you guys. I use both reports. So I don't have my client pull all three. I have them pull one bureau. Usually we do TransUnion or Experian for the same reason I just told you. And then we compare it to the tri-merged account. What's the benefit of a credit monitoring report? You have all three bureaus lined up and you can easily compare information. Thank you for inviting your followers. You can easily compare information between the three bureaus and look for inconsistencies. Sometimes looking for inaccuracies is difficult when you're first starting out. However, looking for information that's inconsistent between all three bureaus is super simple because you're just comparing line by line each information. So that's the benefit of a 3 credit bureau or a tri-merged credit report. So hopefully that helps. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is okay, I see some of you guys are, what do I always say your first dispute should be? I'm going to see if you guys know. I'm not going to say anything. What should your first dispute be? I'm going to see who's on here. Your very first dispute letter should be what? I'm waiting. So I'll see. Names. Okay, yes, thank you, Miss Harris. Personal info. Hey, Miss Manning, how are you? So yes, personal information. Why? Even if it's not your first dispute, it should be the first place that you zone in on. Hi, Miss Nurse Morris. How are you? How are you? How are you? So the reason why is because it lets you know so much before you even get to the account information. So a lot of people go straight to, you said, why? As soon as I said that, tax advocate said, why? So when you're looking at the personal information, you can tell if you have more than one social security number listed, if you have the wrong date of birth listed, if you have addresses listed that you've never lived at, especially if it's in another state. And so that type of personal information lets you know that either A, there's some type of identity theft going on, and B, there may be some type of merging of credit information. This happens a lot to my Hispanic clients and my Hispanic and whom else? African, actually, yes, African clients. Primarily, in juniors, seniors, things like that. This happens a lot in common names. Mary Smith, John Smith, stuff like that. So their info merges. Even though their social securities are completely different, sometimes when the names are too common, the files tend to merge. This is just a glitch that happens within the credit bureau's databases. So by looking at the personal information first, you can identify something ain't right, especially if you have more than one social security number. I remember, I think it was last year, at the beginning of this year, I posted with you guys a credit report that had like 11 different social security numbers on there. You're a low risk. 11 different social security numbers on there. And when she asked, this was experience, she asked him, well, didn't it alarm you that all of this, all of these different social security numbers went on here? Like, why didn't you notify me? And he basically told her, listen, it's your job to monitor your own credit reports. We simply gather the information. Boom. If that wasn't a wake-up call, if that's not a wake-up call, that's why it's up to you. That's why we have these free and really low-price monitoring reports, not just to give us our scores, but so that we can be aware of any data changes. But so many people are so score-driven that they don't even look at the information that makes up the credit scores, namely the data. The data. Also, another reason, and then we'll move on to tip number 3, that you want to look at the personal information and have the personal information be your first dispute, names, addresses, all that good stuff, particularly addresses, is because the bureaus, as I just mentioned, gather information. So that means that every single piece of information within a personal data section has been supplied based on an inquiry, a credit for application, or account that we currently have. And so one of the things that we as credit professionals do is try to remove the accounts that are tied to an older address, the negative accounts, not the positive, the accounts that are tied to the address. Because when the bureaus go through and verify anything, they don't initially take it to the creditor that we're disputing with or the company that we're disputing with. First, they compare the account to the personal information that's listed on your credit report. The name, the address, the social. So if you take out one of those pieces of information, it's just one of the tips to increase the chances of it either being deleted or B, having a true investigation from Jump. My notifications are like bananas, so I hope I turn them off. So if you hear and all that stuff, I'm sorry. I don't know if I turned them off or not. So, hi, how are you, Miss Anisha, my fellow prosperity partner? So that's tip number 2. Let me know if you have questions on that. Tip number 3. Oh, thank you, Shay. Never stop planning. Never stop planning. The number one, I won't say number one, but one of the mistakes that people make is that they send out a dispute and they kind of chill. No, don't chill. And this is what we do in, well, I won't say all of us, but this is what was one? One was which reports you should pull. So I'll do a blog on this and post it to my site, and I'll put a copy of this on YouTube so you guys can have it. Hi, how are you? How are you? So that you guys can have it. At first I wasn't putting them on there because it doesn't always bring up the comments, so I'm on YouTube seeming like I'm talking to myself. So I was like, I don't know if I want to put these videos on YouTube, but since you guys enjoy viewing them, I will put them on YouTube. All right, what if you lived at the pure address or had a different name? I disputed my old married name as well as that address. The address was tied to the bankruptcy from 2009, and I wanted it gone. The only person who did not remove it, still to this day, happens to be Experian. And honestly, after a while, after I started acquiring assets and I realized it wasn't affecting my life, I was just like, I'm not worried about it. But I'm sure, like once we move, before we move across state, I am going to try again. I'm going to, right now is 100% accurate. So usually after a little bit, A, it stops affecting your credit scores after a while, and B, I noticed some pieces of information start to be a little incomplete on the public record, so I'm going to go attack it again. But okay, hopefully they answer your questions about 1 and 2. Number 3 is, like I said, don't stop working. So while your personal dispute information is out, you're going to be looking at the adverse area. Actually, both. You're going to look at the account information. Most people automatically go to the adverse area, which is fine. It's totally easy to find on a credit report from the credit bureaus. If you have a tri-merged account, like I said, it's all mixed in. So you're going to have to go through the report and either highlight, circle, or something to that effect to identify the negative areas on your credit report. The collections, the late payments, the charge-offs. Public records are easy to find on there because they have them in a separate area. But the actual account information, those are going to be all mixed up with your positive stuff. One of the things that I had people in a workshop that I did do was transfer that information over to a spreadsheet. That way they had, all they do was copy and paste, but that way they had a spreadsheet with all of their negative info and they can actually tackle it. Since we're talking about it, let me just pull mine up. This is one of the people who is a part of my home team, Miss Butts. She's a part of the Rent to Home Challenge, and this week we're actually covering, actually the next 2 weeks we'll be covering credit. So we've covered quite a bit. From debt to income ratios, qualifying income. I mean, it's a very thorough and good course, and it'll be starting again January 22nd. So, okay, you have your personal dispute letters out. So now you want to go and you want to really look at your negative information to identify for inaccuracies. Like I said, sometimes it's not easy to identify inaccuracies unless you're accustomed to it, unless it's like blatantly out in your face. Thank you. But you can see if it's inconsistent across the bureaus. You can definitely see if it's inconsistent across the bureaus. So you want to start targeting that, and you also want to look at the positive information. No, you will not dispute your positive information for a deletion, but you want to see how your open accounts, see if they're overutilized, if they're using too much of the credit, if they're reporting the proper balance to credit limit ratio. Even on installment loans, you want to see if they are actually reporting a credit limit, because that can make it seem like you're using all of it. I saw one today where her mortgage was reporting a zero balance. She still owes about $140. It wasn't affecting her scores, the zero balance, but what is because it was reporting a zero balance and she was making the payments, it was making it seem like she was 120 days late, 150 days late. Totally odd, but she would have never looked at the mortgage because she didn't think that it was a negative account. So look at everything. Let me know if you have any questions on it. Number 4. I have a unique name. There's about 7 different spellings on my name. Absolutely. That's a valid inaccuracy. That is super valid. Super valid. Should I dispute online or via mail with a letter? With the personal information, I actually like disputing online. It's super quick and it allows me to focus on the other areas that are really inaccurate, incomplete, inconsistent, unverifiable, or untimely. My 5 points. So yeah, I do that online, but that's about the only thing I do online. I don't do too much online just because of the rights that you lose by disputing online. I actually have a whole blog post on that if you want to go to my site, actually there's a link in the bio that goes straight to my site, so if you want to do a search for that, but I literally break it down as to why. But online, absolutely, I dispute for my life. Another tip that I learned, I don't see Sha Denise on here, but with TransUnion, disputing through Credit Karma has been very good for me. Usually I do not dispute online, but something about Credit Karma and TransUnion for valid and things that may have like super duper minor inaccuracies on a negative account, like disputing it through Credit Karma has been gravy for me. It's just like smooth like butter. So that's a tip from me. Get your Credit Karma dispute on with with TransUnion, okay? Only TransUnion. Don't even do Equifax. It's a complete waste of time. So TransUnion is like the best and has been the most consistent. So a little tip for you today. All right. Review your statute of limitations. I was actually in a discussion both today and yesterday, last night. A young lady was debating whether she should pay something. And I'm like, everybody's telling her, yeah, pay you. And then you get the righteous one. Well, you owe it. What? That's not the point. Just let the point, just let it fall off. You owe it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So if it's past your statute of limitations, then naturally you're not 2 months left. Oh my goodness. Yes, let it ride, honey. Let it ride. But I was like, did you check your statute of limitations? All the advice, all the so-called experts, all the people who were trying to help, nobody mentioned statute of limitations. Disputed experience. Oh, I missed that, honey. Something about a mortgage. I'm sorry. If you can put it again, I'll stop talking when I see it. Nobody mentioned statute of limitations. And so I'm like, when is your statute of limitations? I think it was like 5 years. This thing was old, okay? It was old. It was about, like, literally about to fall off in maybe 11 months. And so I was like, what's past your statute of limitations? Why are you trying to pay it? I just want it off. If you watched my scope yesterday, my impromptu scope, you do not dispute something for the sole purpose of getting every single negative off your credit report. You dispute something to get that negative inaccuracy or error off, and you dispute for the purpose of getting your score up. Don't waste your time on stuff that's not really, just to try to get every single negative thing off. Number one, if it's accurate, let it ride and just insulate it by building positive stuff around it. Bring them balances down. Bring your utilization down. Add positive lines of credit. That's the stuff that bumps the credit score up in a short amount of time. Okay? I've shared several tips with you guys over, oh wow, probably since January on my 90-day slay program. Yes, it's an investment, but it's a 90-day slay for a reason. Hi, Dream Dimples. How are you? All right, number five. We are at 5. We allow them to take questions after this. So number 5 is a budget. Yes, you have to have a budget. Why? Because if you are looking to soar your credit scores in a relatively small period of time, then there may be some things you're going to have to pay, especially if you are looking to buy a house. In the rent-a-home program, we just covered a whole section on various ways to tackle our debts. No. That is so funny. Okay. Yes, a budget. I'm telling you, the ability to be the CEO of your household finances is so freaking empowering. However, we are talking about boosting your credit scores, right? So let's stick there. So if you are looking to boost your credit scores, having a budget is essential to, number one, it lets you know right away if you are have too much of a debt load. A lot of people say, well, should I get this in order to boost my credit score? Should I take on this debt? Can I afford to take on this house? Your budget, the numbers, running the numbers, answers all of that. In addition, disputed mortgage with Experian, it's never late, show balloon payment, but I had a principal reduction. Why negative? Well, that's a good one. You know what? Are you in my group? We do hot seats. I would love to freaking see that and do a hot seat on it so I can analyze it. You can tell I'm a credit nerd, right? But I do love this stuff. Budgets and credit are my thing, honey. And slam that debt. Spanking it on up out of there. All right. So, yes, you must do a budget. I'm telling you. A lot of people say pay for deletes don't work. But if you are able to create a budget and then open up, people call it a different thing. I just call it a debt payoff fund. Some people call it a debt freedom fund. Some people call it a debt freedom fund, whatever you want to call it, and start putting some money there so you can start giving them lump sum payments. They are able to, I won't say they're able because they're all able, but they're more apt to delete and agree to a pay for deletion versus you saying, I mean, if you can delete, can I pay $125, this week, and then, in a couple of weeks when I get paid, I'm going to pay another $150. Ain't nobody got time for that. I know me, when I was in collections, I used to be like, ma'am, if you weren't paying the original creditor on a month-to-month basis, what makes you think I'm going to delete this account and with the promise that you're going to pay me per pay period? I'm not willing to take that risk. So you're going to hear a lot of no's. It's so much more effective when you say, how much is this? Okay, $900 and something. Tell you what, I have $800 today. However, I'm going to need this off of my account. And you may have to hang up and call back. I did this with my client. We're literally on Facebook. He said this. I don't do it for you. Let me tell you why. I like to coach you through it because you're going to always have to talk to creditors. Hopefully not collections after you're done with my program, but creditors. So I want to get you in a habit of knowing how to communicate, knowing your rights, and kind of experiencing what that conversation will be at. I'm here, though. You can put me on speaker, on three-way. We can text for our life. Rub some rules. There aren't really any rules. Credit unions, honey, they never delete. Credit unions are a trip. I am telling you. And this, I have checked with attorneys who are in credit improvement, who are in, I knew it. Credit unions are something, even when they're wrong, they will update it and correct it before they delete it. Like, it's going to be a pretty adverse inaccuracy in order to get them off. Have I gotten them off? Of course. Anybody who's been in this industry for a while has gotten them off. But they are more interested in reporting accurate negative information than having it completely removed from the account, especially if they have not gotten their money yet. That's credit unions for you. But I do love them. I do love me some credit unions. All right. And the other reason for a budget is because we need to get our rebuild on. And some of the options that you have may require a deposit, such as a security card. It may be a merchant account that may require an initial activation or something like that fee. So it is essential. So you can get stuff off your credit report. Is that what you mean? This information is very important. Oh, thank you, tax advocate. So those are my 5 tips. I'm going to make this all into a blog post and then post it to my site tomorrow, as well as the group. And I forgot your username who mentioned the mortgage. If you want to be a part of the hot seats, I have them on either Friday and or Monday. Let me know because I would love to look at that and walk you through it. You need another installment loan. Honestly, I've scored some pretty high credit scores without installment loans, mainly because they have student loans that they were paying on or they were in deferment, and that kind of helped with installment. It helps when you're paying on it because what happens with installments, I noticed this before I started like really aggressively paying mine, even though I have an account from 12 that I never paid to charge off December, I paid January. I have an account from 2012 that I never paid to charge off in December, and you paid it in January? Is that what you're saying? But anyway, with the student loans, and it shows that you're overutilization because that interest, you may borrow $10,000, but that interest, that bumped it up to 12, and now it says you're reporting 181% overutilized on this installment account. Now, credit cards on here in installment, on your utilization, installment is like here. It's still a part of it. Installment is not zero. It is here, so I don't like that. I paid it off. My credit decreased 32 points. 2012 is pretty old. So another thing that you look at when you're looking to pay off stuff is if they are reporting. You said it was a charge-off, so it was an original creditor, so that's not totally bad. But if they're not reporting, if they stop reporting and then you paid it, what you've done is you reactivated some activity on the account. Once you reactivate the activity date is updated, the report date is updated, the status is updated. And what that does rather, is make it look alive into FICO, because FICO was scoring it as something super old. Now they're like, oh, okay, look at this. It's new activity. Let me score it more, put more emphasis on how we're scoring this now. So that's why you saw the drop. Usually when you start paying off older stuff, you want to kind of insulate the drop because you're going to have a drop. Unless they're reporting month to month, you probably won't see a drop because FICO's already recognizing it, right? But if they haven't been reporting for years and then you woke it up into FICO, you're going to have a lot of stuff going around to insulate that negative. So I hope that, I missed all of that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw your email address. Send me a message, either with the link in the bio, or tag me in the group. Yeah, it doesn't matter when you paid it. I'm saying when they report it. So there's a report date on your credit report that lets you know when is the last time the company is reporting it. So sometimes you have older collections, even ones that are past your statute of limitations, but because they keep reporting it every month, it makes it look lurid. Can a judgment that's not been garnished be on a credit report due to fall off? It can be fall off if you are, it can be settled too. It can be deleted. Remember, when you're looking at deletion, you're looking at the 5 factors. Is it inaccurate? Is it incomplete? Is it inconsistent with what's reporting either within that trade line or between other bureaus? Is it unverifiable? Is it untimely? That's what you're looking at. The ones that, oh my God, I have to show you guys this dispute letter. This is from a company too. This is what gives our industry a bad name. I have a credit card that is over 7-year time and not reporting. How are they calling? Is a credit card negative or is it positive? And it's not 7 years from the time that it's been open. It's 7 years from the date that you were late and never brought the account current. You couldn't get on my Facebook group. That's odd. I can tell you now, my assistant is on it. So if you are in the credit improvement industry, she will not approve you. She is on it. Let me show you guys this. I'm in a guest room, by the way, so that's why I have this little divider up now. Why can't I turn this around? Okay. Can you guys see this? I probably need to wipe it off. Do I have anything to wipe you off? So basically, they mentioned the company's name. Oops. And the only thing they said is, not mine, I never had an account with this company. Not mine, I never had an account with this company. You see how that is? Would you pay somebody $89 a month to produce that crap? And you don't do that either. Don't anybody on this scope do this. That is absurd. Not mine, not mine, not mine. Number one, it's not true. It's fraud. You know it's yours. You've been paying on it. They have history of you paying on it. Okay? Don't do that. And I hope Faith 11 catches the replay. Hey, other replay viewers. And she also asked me, and I thought I asked your input too, to do a webinar, something off of Scope so that it's viewable. You know, Scope be tripping sometimes. Periscope trips sometimes. On how to read a credit report. And I told her I'd get feedback from other people to see who would enjoy seeing that information. So if you would like to, let me know. There's a link in my bio that goes straight to a messenger. There's also, of course, Facebook Messenger, which I'm mostly on more than any other platform. And my group, my Facebook group, Credit Makes Sense, bit.ly/Credit Makes Sense. All right, it's 7:01. There's a fly in here from somewhere. I told my husband I would treat him to a treat because me and the kids had so much fun without him yesterday. He got a little jealous. Are there other places like Lexus that we should try? Yeah, there's Sage Stream. This is what the people in Rent to Home Challengers, you guys are having it so good this week. You guys are getting so much information. Sage Stream, and there's another one, ARCARI, something like that. Let me check, you guys. I can look it up really quickly if you're bear with me. I can give you, if my computer would act right, the name of it. And what are you checking it for? You just want to see if there's any, to check your report. Is that what you want to see? There's Pacer. Pacer doesn't really classify themselves as a credit bureau yet, or at all. I'm going to put blocks on it. Okay, then yes. So there's LexisNexis, there's Sage Stream. Let me look up the other one. It starts with an A. And I always have a list of them. If I was in my office, I have a list of them there. ARS, and you can just put ARS freeze in a Google search, and it'll come up with steps for you to freeze. And it's pretty simple. You can fax it over. LexisNexis actually like to have my clients call. You can do it via fax or anything. But calling has been pretty quick. Those are companies that supply information to the bureaus about public records. So a strategy that some people do is to freeze them to increase the chances of a deletion. And guess what we're going to cover that in? Not only Rent to Home, but remember, October 9th is our credit class. October 9th is our credit class, and we're going to cover that in detail. Okay? We're putting the website up now for people to go on a wait list and then to eventually invest, and it's going to cover so much of this stuff. And I really attempt to break it down into simpler terms and simpler steps so that everybody can be able to follow it at their own pace. So, all right. So yes, LexisNexis, ARS, and SageStream. Thank you. I appreciate that. Great seeing you as well. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in the group with your request. And that goes to my replay viewers as well. I appreciate you guys always rocking through. And I'm always looking for what you want me to scope on. So make sure to send your topics in. Like this came from Faith 11. And now it's going to be a blog post on a YouTube. It's not a YouTube post. I don't even know what to call it. Video. A YouTube video. And it's all from her suggestions. So I love, you guys know I love to educate. If you have a company that's looking for somebody to inspire your audience and educate and empower them when it comes to personal finances, I would love to do that. This is definitely my passion. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. And I will chat with you guys later. Later, partners. Bye.